Hello. Welcome to a little bit of a different video today. This is going to be a Jordan Sorcery's Magic Mailbag video, and that is a new thing that I'm going to do, which is talk about some of the really cool stuff that I have been sent. I've been sent by either companies who are promoting new products or by fans and friends of the channel who just want to share some stuff with me or encourage me to make a history video about it, or just folks who just wanted me to see a particular thing and have sent something over. So it's an unusual quirk of doing this kind of work and being on YouTube. It is a really fun thing that sometimes you occasionally, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes you get sent some cool stuff, and it's an opportunity to play around with things that you might not otherwise get hold of. So I take it as a boon of doing this work. It is a really nice thing. But also, sometimes, there can be a little bit of guilt associated with it as well. Because folks, especially when it's an independent company or a smaller company, might send something over. And if I don't have time to spend a lot of time learning a new game or making a full video about it, I post about these things and I talk about these things where I can. But I don't always talk about them here on the main channel. And I feel like I'm doing a little bit of a disservice to the lovely folks who have sent me something, as well as to you guys who might be interested in seeing some of this stuff, because there's some really cool stuff out there that would be awesome to showcase. So that is what this video is. It's an opportunity for me to look at a couple of things that I've been sent and to talk about them briefly. These are not going to be full reviews. These are not going to be full breakdowns. These are not endorsements or advertisements in a traditional sense. I'm not sponsored by anybody to do these. Nobody's forced me to do this or specified that I have to. This is literally just me saying, I've received this cool stuff and I want to talk to you about it, and then you guys you might be interested and want to find out more, or you might just be like, cool, Jordan, well done. Good for you. So that's all this is. Hopefully that doesn't come across as anything other than this is, which is literally just me sharing stuff I'm excited about or that I've received and I think is cool. So we're going to start. We're going to take a look at 5 things over the course of this little video. And we're going to start with a game book that I've received. So this is a brand new game book from Warcradle Studios. It's called Valiant. It's written by Jonathan Green, who I have interviewed on the Jordan Sorcery Pods channel, and I've done a couple of live streams with Jonathan Green. He's written loads of different game books. He's written, most recently, a lot of Arkham Horror game books, which are really fun, which I really like because they have this kind of continuity between the different adventures. You can pick what character you want to play and you'll have different abilities. Then you can play that same character in the sequels and things carry over between the books. Or you can use a new character from a later book and go back and replay the early ones. So I think that's kind of really cool. Loads of hidden stuff as well. So Jonathan, I think, is a fantastic game book author. He does his Ace game books as well. And this is the first game book in the dystopian era. So that's the setting for Armoured Clash and Dystopian Wars, the miniatures games, if you're familiar with those, by Warcradle. And they sent me a copy of the book to basically just have a look and see what I think. So I've actually played an hour of this. I've released that playthrough on my Patreon. You can go and watch it there. Patreon supporters can watch that there. And I literally just played through. It was me reading through and playing through and going through the adventure. And I had some, it was an interesting experience because I have played Dystopian Wars when it first came out a number of years ago. And this is set in a sort of new version of that. If you're not familiar with it, it's steampunk Victoriana kind of stuff. There are huge mechanical devices. So there's huge tanks and massive ships and aircraft carriers and walking tanks and all sorts of stuff. Real high, I suppose you would sort of say high fantasy steampunk, if that's the right term. So there's loads of cool stuff. And in this book, you are playing Valiant, who is an MI5 or an MI6 agent for the Crown, working on behalf of Queen Victoria, going on a mission sent by Mycroft Holmes, which I think is really fun. And in the book, you get to create your character, you get to do your stats, and you can do your sort of physical combat, and you can do your mind or your ranged combat and other stuff like that. I had the bright idea for this first playthrough to make my character all about stealth and shooting. And I thought, right, I'm going to be James Bond. I'm going to be a spy yes, James Bond does get into fistfights, but I'm going to play it really cool, keep my distance, and stealth my way through this mission. In this book, and mild spoilers, in this book, you actually start captured. So the mission has already gone wrong, and you're trying to break out and then complete the mission from there. That meant that there are loads of fistfights to start the book. So having created a character who was terrible at fistfights and didn't have much health, I really struggled with those first fights. It got a little bit frustrating, I would say that much. I went back, having played it and gone through that, I went back and I tried again, and I did different stats, and I did it through a different sort of series. I took a different set of choices, and it was much more interesting. I actually found weaponry, and I found like really cool secrets, and there's some fun stuff. So I think I got really unlucky on my first playthrough with this. So I'm willing to have another playthrough, but I'm very grateful to Warcradle Studios for sending me this over. You know, it's written as well as any other Jonathan Green adventure game book, which is always fun. There's always cool stuff in there, some cool art. So yeah, I have enjoyed what I've played. I just got unlucky on my first playthrough, I think. So I'll be interested to see how it concludes and where it goes next, I suppose. So that is one thing that I was sent. Then I was sent, and these are absolutely amazing. I'm going to put on screen, so it's just a little box with 4 miniatures in. I will put these on screen. So these are an old classic Citadel Oldhammer style miniature. These are the Beastmen Command Squad for to go alongside the recently launched Kickstarter for the rest of the infantry for all the Beastmen units that are available. I think that these are lovely. So Gary and Aaron have sent these over for me to just take a look at, see what I think. And I really like them. They have that very classic, almost sort of Trish Carden style classic Beastman feel with, and one of the things that I really like about them is that they have all of those different types of Beastmen. There's a Flyman who I think is really fun. There's like other weird animals. They're not just sort of goat-headed Beastmen, which is obviously what Beastmen became. So I really like them for that reason. I think, some of these other mutant goblins look really fun as well, and there's other cool stuff. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this sort of Oldhammer style miniatures. There's a few companies who are doing this sort of stuff, and I think that it's really nice to see because you can create your armies, modern gaming armies, modern miniatures in a traditional style, and like really bring to life some of that classic Oldhammer stuff. But you're not restricted just to actual classic Citadel stuff, which can get very, very expensive now. So it's a really nice way to have the feel of the older miniatures in a modern way. So I think that's great. Okay, next up is something very, very special. Or actually 3 things that are very, very special. Sent to me by one of my Patreon supporters, McGobbo, who I got to meet at the Warhammer World Anniversary recently. We had a lovely chat. It was absolutely awesome to meet and to talk about some stuff. And he had an extra set of the original Necromunda 1995 rulebooks that he'd acquired whilst he was rebuilding his collection. And he just said, if you're going to do a history video of Necromunda at some point, maybe you would want these books. And absolutely, yes, I got rid of my original collection of Necromunda stuff way back when. So very sadly, did not have these. So it's awesome to have them again. I was flicking through them. So this is the actual Necromunda Source book, the rule book, and the Outlanders book as well. Just fantastic books. These are so good. I mean, if you played Necromunda back in 95 and during its early release, you will remember how awesome these books are. The art, the miniatures, the writing, they're so efficient in terms of like building the world of Necromunda. Really great stuff. Absolutely lovely to be spending time with these again. So I am very, very grateful. Thank you to McGobbo for sending them. McGobbo has an Instagram, is an amazing painter, has loads of really cool projects and stuff on there. McGobbo Paints, so go and check that out on Instagram. But yes, thank you very much for these. I have not promised when that Necromunda history is going to be, but I will be doing a Necromunda history at some point in the future, and these are really, really helpful, so thank you for that. Next up is, you may remember a while back I did an advent calendar, a miniatures-based advent calendar that came from Oakbound Studio, which is an independent miniature manufacturer who also makes games. And it was a really fun. It's actually the advent calendar. On the back of the advent calendar, It has this map, and then each day you're getting miniatures, you're getting dice, you're getting tokens. You rip the doors off of the advent calendar and they become doors for your actual dungeon. Really, really fun idea. Absolutely awesome. Then I got hold of the Thunder Under Mount Silence, which is a sort of quest-style dungeon crawler. This box is absolutely chock full of miniatures. Absolutely amazing. I've really enjoyed it. I've done some solo quests and they're really, really neat. It's great fun. And it uses a set of, it's the Woods Light. So there's a skirmish miniature game that Oakbound make called The Woods, and this uses a sort of lighter version of that. But what I wanted to talk about this time was the Deepwood Shadows box set. So I sent this for as like a Christmas present by the very generous Jeff at Oakbound, and this is really, really lovely. It is a complete deluxe box set of the RPG. Storytelling adventures in a dark age world of folklore fantasy. It's really nice. There's some lovely art in here, some really cool folkloric elements. It has such a lovely, it really is leaning into like fantasy and folklore and sort of, there's kind of Celtic roots and things like that in here. There's loads of really nice stuff that is drawn from, I believe, from like genuine folklore. And it turns a lot of that into really interesting ideas and a sort of kind of dark, it is that sort of, it's the kind of thing that you would see on the fringes of Woofrup, maybe, but it very much goes into the sort of the deep, dark forests and the creatures that live out there and the folkloric stuff. So really, really nice. Sadly, I've not had a chance to play it. I've not had a chance to really read through everything and get into it, but I just wanted to call it out. Because it's a lovely set. It's really, really nice. And I'm very grateful to have received it. So it's the Woods Roleplay. And this is the Deepwood Shadows set. So very, very lovely. It's got dice, it's got character sheets, it's got loads of cool stuff in there as well. So very awesome. And I'm very pleased. And I look forward to giving it a go at some point. And I think the set is just really, really magical. So thank you very much, Jeff, at Oakbound Studios. I'm very grateful for it, and I look forward to playing it at some point. Okay, and then the final thing I'm going to talk about in this Magic Mailbag is a game that I've also, embarrassingly, have not played yet. My intention was to make a video about this game, do a full review at some point, and I've just not had time to really get into it. But you may be familiar with Goblinko. That is, it's the gaming company that's run by Sean Orberg and some other folks as well, and it's sort of built around Sean's incredible art style and kind of this very punky take on D&D and sort of like classic fantasy tropes, but with this really bright, vibrant color schemes and these really sort of grungy, punky kind of characters and that sort of stuff. It's really fantastic. Kind of reminds me if you took like Escape from the Dark Castle, that kind of very, very dark art style, and then you added it to like Morkborg color schemes and graphic design, you would have something close, not actually that, but something on the way to what Sean does with his Dungeon Degenerates RPG and sort of rule sets. And this is the Hand of Doom. Now, this is a big sort of dungeon crawling box. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's so heavy. It's full of stuff, and it's like all of it is this like just absolutely beautiful, beautiful stuff. I mean, I'll put a thing on screen so you can see this properly. But yeah, I mean, there's miniatures available. There's all kinds of other stuff available. But yeah, it is very, very lovely produced stuff. This box is absolutely chock full. It's so heavy because there's cards, there's tokens, there's boards. There's dice, there's all sorts of stuff in here. And yeah, you have all the sort of card, the character token cutouts and things. I really do want to play this. I would love to get this to the table. But I've kind of been, if anything, I've been a little intimidated by just how much awesome stuff is in here. And I really want to sit down and spend some proper time getting to grips with these rules so that I can actually sit, have a proper playthrough. Because it looks amazing. Truly, it looks absolutely stunning. So very excited about this. And Sean recently let me know as well that he's doing a full RPG set in this world. and that is going, I believe that's going on Kickstarter in the near future. And there's a set of like free play rules. I will put a link in the description down below so you can go and check that out and download that and you know, do as you will. But yeah, you know, Sean's art style, it very much is building from classic. I think there's a certain amount of like a Tony Ackland starting point, but then it kind of evolves into very much his own thing, really building on that punk stuff. And yeah, the colour schemes are absolutely lovely. And Sean's been creating this kind of stuff for a good number of years now, so he's really perfected the art of it. So I'm only sorry that I just haven't had a chance to play it, because I really want to. It looks great. Okay, so, you know, there you go. That is a handful of things that I've been sent recently that I just wanted to showcase, just wanted to shout out, just wanted to talk about, because I am really humble. Genuinely, I'm humbled that I received this stuff. I'm not trying to rub this in or to make out like, you know, look, it's amazing being a YouTuber. You get all this stuff. It is amazing being a YouTuber, and you do get access to some of this stuff, and people are really super generous. I say that not to self-aggrandize or anything like that, merely to say I'm very grateful. So thank you. If you've sent me any of this stuff, thank you very much. Apologies if I've not had a chance to play it. Apologies if I've not had a chance to talk about it elsewhere. I am really grateful for it. There are things that either once I've played, or that if I know I'm never going to get a chance to play, rather than it just sit on my shelf, I will give some of this stuff away on my Patreon. I do monthly or sort of quasi-monthly giveaways, lots of stuff on there. I actually gave away a copy of The Hand of Doom at Christmas. I will be doing stuff again, so there's going to be loads of giveaways of stuff. Anything that I'm not able to really take the time with myself, I will make sure it goes to a good home and someone who really wants to play it. So thank you very much once again to everyone who sent me stuff. I very much appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this was interesting, you know, and it wasn't just a sort of guy rambling about cool stuff he's got in a way that is really self-indulgent. So let me know down in the comments if you're interested in seeing future magical mailbag episodes. Because like I said, I think it's a good way for me to highlight some cool stuff that I've received, talk about these things that don't always get a lot of love. You know, we're talking here about like heavy metal Hordes and Oakbound and Goblinko with their dungeon Degenerates and stuff like that. These are companies that don't always get a lot of shout outs. You know, making YouTube videos specifically about these sort of indie things, you don't always get views. So it's hard to dedicate a load of time to making loads of content about it. So if I can at least talk about it in these kind of contexts, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit beneficial to folks. It's then it becomes a little bit of a win-win. But only if you guys are interested in it. Because obviously if you don't want to hear me chat nonsense about this stuff, then it's probably not interesting generally. So there you go. Let me know in the comments if you've got any of these things and you've played any of them and what you thought about them, if you've been and checked them out, and if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. Okay, so there we go. That is Jordan Sorcery's Magic Mailbag, Episode 1. Will there be an Episode 2? We'll find out. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Jordan, and this is Jordan Sorcery.